So even though we never trained for this, in flight simulators at the airline, it was not possible to practice a water landing. They aren't programmed for it. The only training we'd ever gotten for a water landing was a theoretical classroom discussion. But because I had learned my craft so well, I knew my airplane and my profession so intimately, I could set clear priorities. And so I chose to do only the highest priority items. And then I had the discipline to ignore everything I did not have time to do as being only distractions and potential detriments to our performance. You see, I'm also well-read, and so I knew the neurobiology. I knew that multitasking is a myth, that when we think we're multitasking, what we are in fact doing is switching rapidly between tasks, not doing either of them well. And so I chose not to try to do too much. Within a few seconds, by memory, I had taken the first two remedial actions that we would eventually get to on the checklist over a minute later, over a third of the way through the remaining flight time. But I needed those actions to be effective immediately and not to wait. I turned on the engine ignition so if the engines could recover, they would. And I started the airplane's auxiliary power unit. I knew it was only a matter of a few minutes before our flight path intersected the surface of the Earth. I had to choose the best possible place for that to happen. I didn't do this alone. I could not have done it alone. And I had never met some of the crew before. I had never met Jeff Skiles, our first officer, before we began this trip. Right after the flight, in the first interviews, I said that we were all just doing our jobs. But we did much more than that. And with the passage of time, I have a much more complete appreciation of what was accomplished that day by everyone. And we did our jobs, but we did them exceedingly well. It's having that dedication, that continuous learning, constant striving for excellence, that determination on every flight, on every day, that formed the foundation on which we could then rise to the occasion on this extreme crisis.